Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 3116 Northeast Skidmore Street here in Portland. Located down in the basement. Got a little backflow preventer here right on the stack. Looks like it's for the laundry hookup, or what could be a laundry hookup. Anyway, it tied directly into, there's a little bit of 4-inch ABS on the stack, but really we're dropping into 4-inch cast iron pipe. Checking the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. I describe everything in general as if you're facing the front of the house from the street. Right now we're kind of near the back right corner, rear right corner of the basement. Zeroed out there, water's running, off we go. There is also another, I don't know if it's a clean out it's got a wing nut cap on it, or if it's a, where there used to be a toilet and they plugged it, but underneath the laundry machines at the back of the very back of the basement, there is a expandy plug in the ground there. Alright, looks like we're transitioning here into 6-inch clay pipe. We've got a Y-in coming in right there. We'll investigate into that a little more here. Man, my camera to orient. Root intrusion there. Obviously not doing a whole lot. Right, and there's another one we just went past there. We'll get a better view of this stuff as we come out. Another one there. Once the line's drained at the end. Slope and grade in the line is still good. Hey, you got roots throughout many of the joints in here. Alright, a little bit of concrete pipe there, and then right into 6-inch 3034 PVC. And the main lateral is right up ahead here. So as it relates to just purely flow, line has good flow. Line's functioning nicely as it sits right now, but we do have a myriad of root intruded joints throughout the clay pipe. The issue with roots is roots don't often stay small. They generally grow and turn into something, so. But if repairs for some reason are not an option, there are some things you can do to help keep them at bay. Anyhow, and being that the line still has good slope and grade, it's a deep basement level sewer line, so these are way the heck down there. With the advent of things like trenchless epoxy lining, it's a good idea to get ahead of these things before the line, gets too worn out. Generally speaking, it's the joints that cause these things to start shifting and settling over time. Right now, you'd have a good candidate for something like an epoxy liner should you choose to do repairs on it. If for some reason repairs don't happen, it behooves you to keep an eye on these lines and monitor them. One, for roots, if you have to do any root cutting as needed to keep flow at a proper level. Holy, look at that little guy. Here, we'll solve a rat coming to say howdy. And I've done over 25,000 sewer scopes in this town for the last 15 years. I used to see those guys constantly. I hardly ever see them anymore. Too funny. Alright, got the camera head located. Line terminates on Northeast Skidmore Street. If you go and stand out in the road and face the front of the house, just to the left of the driveway, you'll see a patch that runs into the street. That patch is where the line was, at least the updated pipe here was cut into the road. Yeah, back in the day, 15 years back, it was all but a guarantee. If you left your camera at the main lateral for more than 3 to 5 minutes, you would have often multiple rats come say howdy to your camera. I see them so infrequently anymore. It's quite a rare occurrence these days. A lot because of the advent of sewer scoping, how popular it's become. A lot of people are getting their lines fixed up, and there's just not as many beat up old lines for them to use as their highway anymore. That's at least my theory on it. In the last 5 years, I can count on my one hand how many I've seen come say howdy to my camera like that. Go back to the first few years I was doing this. I mean, I had one time I had 14 of them go past my camera in one go, just a whole line of them. All right, so the concrete joint here, the concrete is still doing its job. I mean, as it relates to flow right now, but that concrete's getting pretty worn out and beat up. The big concern with these older lines in general are the joints. Concrete pipe itself wears out pretty at about the same level the pipe grout does that seals the joints up. So over time, what can happen in both clay and concrete pipe is the grout can wear out the joints. Once that happens, the joints become exposed to the ground, and you can get a progressive scenario or progressive settling situation. In this case, the concrete pipe here may actually wear out before grout becomes even an issue. It's just getting rough. But as it sits right now, is still flowing. No real debris buildup or anything right here, but I am going to locate and see where this is at. I did put a green T marking down at the main lateral connection. I was getting around 8.5 feet or so deep there. Okay, so right now locates are indicating, you can see I put my camera I'm not parked on top of the joint. I tried to put the camera just prior to it to get a little bit dead center locate. That concrete pipe there, I think, is going to stop right around the face of the curb. So that, at least part of it appears to be in city responsibility. So either way, if you were to do something like a trenchless liner on this thing, I would be you'd want to take the liner all the way through that concrete pipe and get a good overlap over everything. Make sure the line's sealed up from roots, because roots re-intruding a new line is very much a real thing, and you want to get those joints overlapped as well as possible. You've got roots at just about every joint here in the clay. Many of them are quite small, but roots nonetheless. This piece of pipe right here has the hallmarks of dirt staining. There's just a different appearance you get to pipe where dirt is seeping through the pipe wall. You can see the top half of the line there. It's just, again, not that that's happening to a massive extent right now, as the line has remained in grade, which is a small miracle, honestly. Once a line settles bad enough, that's where you end up losing the ability to do something like a trenchless repair system on it. So, other main concern here is what this Y connection was closer back in. But as far as depths go, I was actually getting around 6 feet deep, and the locate was coming in quite clear there. Just past the face of the curb, I was getting 6 feet. And that looks like a 6-inch diameter Y-in right there. That tie-in goes all the way to the top of the pipe. And the reason I say that is after scoping thousands of party lines in this town over the years, you get some pretty good differentiation between sewer pipe tying in and storm systems. Storm systems very, very commonly tie into old lines, but they are almost always in a 3 or 4 inch tie-in. So it's very obvious. You'll have this big 6-inch pipe with a much smaller size tie-in coming into it. This tie-in here goes from top to bottom. It's a full diameter 6-inch Y connection, it appears. So that's much more indicative of a party line. That's not to say it hasn't been separated, but the amount of time I've been doing this, that generally indicates you have a party line. But I have seen them here and there utilized for storm systems, but it's very, very rare. Alright, so I took a photo of this. In the photo, you'll see my locator wand. Unfortunately, there's one patch of sunshine right where I've got to put my locate wand down, so it obscures it a little bit, but you'll see where the pistol grip handle of the locator is pointing towards the right of the property as you face the house from the street or the yard. If I were to wager a guess, if it is an active party line, it would likely be the home to the right of this house. So, something where you want to ideally set things up with the neighbor to coordinate so they can run water. You have a little bit of standing water right there. It's very minor. Generally speaking, I think especially with the new UV light curing systems, you can now cure. That's an extremely minor amount of standing water there. Nothing to be concerned about. You also have a crack at the top of the pipe there. It's letting groundwater seep in. You can see the stain going down the top, or coming into the top of the pipe, going down the sidewall. So this is one of those lines where the line is just barely starting to settle. So it's one you want to get on top of that. If you want to take advantage of a trenchless repair system, now's the time to do it. My foot counter, for some odd reason, reset there. I bumped my camera when I was walking up to go locate. So I'm guesstimating slightly here is about 10 heel-to-toe paces from the Y connection to the foundation of the house. Yeah, so the transition joint here looks like it's just outside the foundation. About approximately 4 to 5 feet outside the house is where that transition takes place. Anyway, because of the roots at most of the joints in the clay pipe there, as well as a crack going across the top of the pipe, you also have the potential for party line. I'm recommending that clay pipe be updated, as well as the concrete pipe at the end. Any clay and or concrete pipe, I recommend being updated. And I always recommend, regardless of liner or traditional repair, especially with a liner because of how easy it is to extend an extra foot, you want to make sure you're taking any repair in this town beyond the face of the curb by about, ideally, a foot. Those transition joints at the curb are infinitely more likely to get roots through them than any other joint, especially when you have material transitions or diameter changes. So that way, if it ever does happen at the transition joint, it's undoubtedly doing it in city responsibility, and there's no question as to whether or not whose it is. A lot of folks take that repair smack down to the transition of responsibility, and it becomes a lot harder to tell whose problem it is at that point. Anyway, from just a purely flow standpoint, the line has good flow all the way to the main as it sits right now, but I recommend updating all that stuff there so the line remains that way. After any repairs are done, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work. And obviously, before any type of repairs happen, lining, things like that, you want to make sure we fleshed out the possibility, that you might be potentially sealing a neighbor's line off. And I located this thing. That Y connection is right. It's in front of the home, very much on this property, and the line crosses the curb just barely to the left of the driveway. So the line's not veering over to someone else's yard. It remains on property the whole way out, which is a good thing. That usually, I can't guarantee anything. The city is the final word on all that stuff. But usually when your line remains on property like this, generally speaking, you can keep the configuration and don't have to go messing with that. Whereas if it is an active party line, it's the neighbor that would likely be the one that has to separate and run a different line out. But again, from a flow standpoint, line is functioning properly in that regard right now. But the pipe's exposed to the ground in a myriad of locations, and you want to, especially as it relates to doing trenchless repairs, this is the time to do it. Before any of that stuff leads to hydro erosion and causes the line to settle anymore. Cast iron pipe's in good shape, has great flow, as does the PVC pipe in the street.